This week's episode of the Stire Sound and the Unsung Heroes is dedicated to the memory of Brian O'Rourke. Brian was the founder of Team Faith, and whether he was serving as a team owner and fielding bikes in arena cross or supercross, or helping serve meals to those in the paddock from riders, mechanics, and others, Brian will be dearly missed in the sport of professional supercross and motocross. Unfortunately, he lost his life on Friday morning. From everyone at the Stire Sound, on behalf of myself, Jack, and all of our listeners, we send our condolences, thoughts, and prayers to the O'Rourke family and everyone who was friends and loved Brian. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Stire Sound, episode number 27. Shout out Malcolm Stewart. Episode number 27 of the show. Thank you for tuning in. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart YouTube. We don't care where you're listening. We just care that you're listening. We appreciate you. Be sure to spread the word. Find us on social media at the Stire Sound Official for more updates about episodes and our reels and all of that. My name is Trey Stire. Thank you for tuning in. The fourth round of Monster Energy Supercross, Houston, Texas. NRG Stadium was the host. First Triple Crown round of the season, and it was a wild night in the 450 class. Pretty predictable night in the 250 class, mostly uneventful, although there were a few things of note. And of course, SMX Next was back in action after their first race in Anaheim. We're here to break it all down. Joining me as always from the Dirt Legal Dirt Bike Depot WMR KTM team. He was actually out in Houston, so he was able to watch the action live in NRG Stadium on Saturday night. Welcome to the show as always. Jack Noel, what's up, man? Awesome to see you back at the races, and how was the atmosphere in H-Town on Saturday night?
It was cool, man. It was a decent little crowd out there in Texas, and the fans are seem to be pretty into all the racing. So it definitely makes it fun to watch. And I was able to actually sit down and watch races. I wasn't didn't have to watch 450 races on TV like I typically do, but so that was nice. But it was a good race. I think there was a lot of eventful things that happened. I think Tomac crashing was kind of off of everybody's bingo card, and but he was able to you know for it to happen in the Triple Crown, I would say that's the best time for anybody to crash or have a bad race is a Triple Crown, right? In one of those motos, and he was, did fine the other two. So yeah, no, it was in the 250 class was super super basic, but there were some cool little battles you got to see, and some things that like from being in the stands you're able to kind of notice more than being on the TV. So I definitely have some more to talk about, and yeah, it was a good weekend.
Starting off with the 450 class, man, there's a lot of ground to cover when you look at the 450 division. To open the night, your first race winner in the 450 class was Ken Roxon. Kickstart Kenny looking solid up there in the front. Chase Sexton was up there in P2. Eli Tomac, then Cooper Webb. Jorge Prado started up front, ran in the top three for a good part of the race. Hunter Lawrence was running, I believe, fourth place, but he went down, slid out. He hit the concrete patch of the floor and then ended up going down. And that was a very pivotal mistake when you look at the overall later in the night. And there were honestly several pivotal moments in the night. But it was Kickstart Kenny who began the night in the driver's seat. Race number 2, Jorge Prado got up front again, but Hunter Lawrence took the lead pretty early and cruised out front. As you mentioned, of course, if you were watching the show, you watched Eli Tomac take a hard fall. Eli Tomac going over the bars. It was a hard crash, but thankfully the veteran got up uninjured, got back aboard his motorcycle, started trying to climb through the pack. Ken Roxon, your first race winner, he just couldn't find his way around Justin Cooper. They were battling for fourth position. He couldn't find a way around. Cooper Webb moved around Jorge Prado to take P2 in that race. Chase Sexton went down during the moto, dropped down to ninth position. So it was a very eventful race for a lot of people. Cooper Webb set himself up nicely after a fourth in the first moto. Going 4-2, he was really in control of everything. Although Ken Roxon still had the 1-5, but you can never count out Cooper Webb. Hunter Lawrence was there as well, but man, that seventh place in the first moto, and then of course, like I mentioned, Chase getting a P9. Tomac recovered to 13th, valiant performance for him. And then in the third race, what a wild ending to the night. What a fun ending to the night as well. When you look at the final 450 race, and ET3 got up there, he said, you know what, I might have went down last moto, but I'm going to control this thing, and he did. He ran up front, pulled the whole shot, and just cruised that entire race. 3:13.1 for fourth overall on the night, Eli Tomac. Not sure if we've ever seen those kind of scores before, but it was damage control. A great response after his crash. Hunter Lawrence cruising MP2 for most of the race after he got around Jason Anderson. So much was going on. Then all of a sudden, Cooper Webb just started to work his way through the field around Jason Anderson. And then most of the TV time was focused, of course, at the very end on the Cooper Webb Ken Roczen battle. It seemed like Ken Roczen would catch him a little bit, and then Cooper Webb would just keep things on the track, keep it stable. And Cooper Webb, for the 31st time in his 450 career, is your Supercross winner. He wins another Triple Crown in Houston. 4-2-3. Doesn't win a moto, but it doesn't matter because he wins. Hunter Lawrence second for the third consecutive week. It's looking like outdoors out here. Hunter Lawrence coming in second every week. Ken Roczen third. If he would have been able to get around Webb, Kenny would have won the overall, but it wasn't meant to be. Tomac fourth overall after the great rebound in the final moto. Chase Sexton 296 for fifth. Bit of an off night for Chase Sexton. That last race, it just didn't seem like he had the pace of some of those guys like Tomac, like Webb, like Ken Roczen, and fell off a little bit. But what a wild night of action in the 450 class. Eli Tomac still has the red plate going into Glendale, but his points lead was cut in half. He's only 8 points up, or only 4 points up now. He was 8 points ahead. Now only 4 ahead of Hunter Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence just keeps chipping away little by little, and don't look now, but Cooper Webb went from 24 down to 17 down. We're going to talk about Cooper Webb again, and I know we're going to be approaching beating a dead horse territory in the next few weeks if we have to keep talking about him, but what a response by Webb. A very entertaining and fun night of 450 class racing, as it has been all year. Jack, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the evening, and before I turn it over to you, I will say what a response by Webb. We shouldn't have counted him out, I guess. I said, of course, if he doesn't podium in Anaheim 2, he might be done. He showed more signs of life, but he didn't podium, so I wrote him off, and guess what? He goes out there and wins. And then Eli Tomac, a great response. You don't want to see him crash, but thankfully he got back up, and then the next race to win like he did, I think, was a great recovery and rebound for Tomac. And as you said, nobody wants to crash, but a Triple Crown crash is way more forgiving than crashing in a single 20-minute main event.
Yeah, it was a very, very entertaining weekend. I just rewatched the highlights as you were talking right there, and just kind of get like more of a in-depth rundown on kind of how things went for everybody. I'll start from the top with Cooper Webb. I think that's the main topic. I think that it kind of inserts himself back into the conversation of I belong here, and like I'm a defending champion for a reason. And I mean, although it's a scrappy win, I think that's how Cooper Webb kind of does his thing. You know, like he wasn't the fastest guy that night in any of the motos, but he was the most consistent and just like was always there. And then like got it done when he had to get it done, right? That's Cooper Webb to a T. He has to get a couple passes. He makes those passes happen. Cooper Webb does Cooper Webb things and wins a race. I mean, that's the most Cooper Webb performance I think we've ever seen, maybe ever. Like, honest to God. Like, Cooper Webb just did what Cooper Webb does in a Triple Crown. I have to be none other than Ken Roczen straight up. You know, I'm taking my boy Cooper Webb on that battle every time because he's never came out on the bottom side, on the bottom half of that battle. So, like we said, and it was a battle too. Like, it wasn't like it was easy. It wasn't like it was like Kenny was buried and he was right there. It was all right in front of him. He had to pass Kenny. He made his mistake early in that third moto, and it kind of threw things for a loop. But no doubt, Cooper Webb was there the whole time. I think he went 3-3-3, right, for the win.
4-2-3. Very
Four
close,
two
but
three,
yes.
4-2-3. So he was right there, in all the motos. I mean, and it was a good showing from Cooper Webb. I think it was something that he needed to get his confidence back up to know that he belongs up there. And I kind of look at him as a Ryan Dungey spec right now. Like if he can be consistent and be on the podium, and if Tomac or Chase, which Chase and Hunter and Ken Roxon have like rough races, which those guys are very known to do that. Like I mean, Eli Tomac early in his career, would have a couple throwaway rounds where he goes out there and gets 11th or 15th or whatever it was. Hunter Lawrence, doesn't really have the championship-esque mentality in the 450 class, in my opinion. He's kind of still trying to get his, click off his first win, which I think he does pose a threat, but I don't think it's as serious or as maybe dangerous as some people might think. And then Ken Roxon, the same thing. He can kind of have his off weekend like he did in Anaheim, too, where he was just nowhere to be found. So I don't know. I think for Cooper Webb, that was a must-win race, and he got it done. And I think he got it done in the most Cooper Webb style fashion. And I think it puts himself right back in that conversation of this guy's serious and this guy's legit. If he can continue off this momentum at a race like Glendale or Seattle, a race like Seattle, I think if he can come around, if he can be on the podium in Glendale, coming to Seattle with some more confidence, boom, we could see a Cooper Webb win. I think that really does push that when it comes east, Cooper Webb's good. We go to two of Cooper Webb's favorite rounds in these next four races, Seattle and Arlington, where he's been unbelievable there. A Cooper Webb that's coming off this win in Houston, seeing these next 2 out of 3 rounds being rounds that he's been successful at and won races at, like he's going to be good. And I just think the whole field should worry a little bit. Like, all right, like Cooper Webb's legit. Now we have pretty much in my head a 4-way, almost 5-way title fight, going into next weekend. So I'm very excited to see how he responds to, or how he carries this momentum into Glendale. I don't think he's going to win in Glendale necessarily, but I do think come these next 3 rounds by Arlington, I think he could be clicking off at least one more win, I would think. But moving to Hunter Lawrence, who I believe got second last night, or Saturday night, sorry. Such a bummer because I think he was the best rider that day, minus the crash that he had. I mean, I guess Tomac was too, but Hunter Lawrence was the most consistent in my head, other than the little mishap he had in that right before you went across the mechanics area. I think Hunter Lawrence rode really, really well. He had a good second moto. Such a bummer that he couldn't get that he couldn't stick a pass on Tomac, because I do think he could have won. No, I think Hunter's kind of in that mode of like, it was good that he got a main event win, in a sense of a Triple Crown main event win, that he got like, a taste of winning. So it's like, all right, now he knows he can do that, and he has to apply to a 20-minute main event. So I think he does win a race here in the near future. I think it could be as early as next weekend, to be completely honest with you, but we'll see. And then moving to Ken Roxon, I mean, it's the story of Ken's career, really, when it comes to being in a 1v1-ish battle with the number 2 or number 1 as of now, Cooper Webb. He just cannot seem to get the better of him. And it happened again in Houston. So it's such a bummer, because I think Ken was in the driver's seat to win that race, in my opinion. I think if I'm trying to remember what happened exactly in the second moto for him, but it was, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say it was like kind of like a bad start, and he just kind of had to like move through the pack, right?
That was the race where Anderson ran him high a little bit, and I know he was a bit
Right.
upset about that. And then, like I mentioned, he just couldn't get around J Coop for whatever reason. Couldn't for the
Yeah.
life of it find a way around.
And this to touch on the race perspective, it was very like that for everybody. I think it was a very like one line track, and like you kind of had to bank on somebody making a mistake, because when you made a mistake, you're lapped. Like for example, the rhythm section after the start straight, like where it was like that 3 in, like the 3 to the banana, then 3 out. Like if you didn't hit that, like you were getting passed. Like, and we saw it perfectly with like Chase. Like Chase got, and I think this was in the third moto, I believe, where he doesn't hit that 3-3, makes a mistake. Anderson gets by him, and Anderson kind of runs him high, and then Cooper Webb and Ken Roxon both get him. It's like the wind completely flew out of his sails right there, and it was like super disappointing. So I was like, dang, dude, like because I thought Chase would for sure, put himself in a position where he could potentially podium. I think like he had the ability to stay in front of Anderson and potentially catch Hunter to get the podium, but he just didn't have, like, once that, like, you make that mistake, Anderson was right there to capitalize on it, and the wind was completely taken out of his sails. Like, it seemed like he was trying to take a lap or two to regroup, and he just didn't get that opportunity, and like once he did, he's like trying to push again, and he just didn't have anything in the tank to kind of go. It was kind of a weird situation for Chase. And then obviously going down in the second moto, like he literally was like stuck behind Craig for no kidding, like I think it was like 4 laps, could not get past him. Finally gets by and then goes down. I want to say this is what happened, right? I think that's what happened in the second moto for Chase.
I believe you're correct. A
Yeah,
lot of
it
action
was
taken.
a lot of crashing going on in the second moto. But then, and then he goes down and puts himself right back where he started, which was, in ninth place. So because he did have like I don't know if they caught it on the broadcast or not, because I haven't even rewatched it. Freezy is actually lined up next to him, and Freeze flinches at the gate, and then it causes Chase to kind of flinch too, and then
Yeah, I did see that.
and I was like, oh no, and then Chase was like buried, but he ended up getting out of there pretty unscathed and was up to like 10th or 11th by like the first lap. So he made a bunch of moves really quick, which was good for him, but then still ended up being kind of like a shitty race for him because of how it ended up going. But I think this might have been the third race. I want to say that I don't remember though. But they just all cluster together. You just like remember things. You just don't remember which race it happened in. Is the only thing. But nonetheless, I think Chase has more to offer than what he did this past weekend in Arlington. I just think it's going to take some honing in on what we're doing, because it just seems like there's a lot of changes being made, a lot of like overthinking the situation, which this is where like knowing Chase, it can be a bit of a mental battle with him sometimes. Like it can be if he's struggling mentally and if he's like, not that comfortable that day, like he can kind of have it be like a big whirlwind effect on how his day goes. So being that he didn't get the win in that first moto, I'm sure he wasn't happy. And then it kind of went into the truck, and he was like, dude, whatever. Like, I'm not entirely sure, but this is what I'm thinking could have happened. Goes back to the truck, isn't happy, comes out second moto, and he's trying to do too much, and it just caused him to kind of have a rough race and lose focus a little bit. And that third moto, just moving through the field and then getting like just passed by 3 guys in the same corner, like that's probably the most devastating thing you probably will ever see in your life. Like, really. I don't know. Like, I think just mentally he has to be a bit stronger going into these next couple races, because he's really not that far out of the championship. He only in like I talked to him. I said, look, the biggest thing is in the reality of the situation, we only lost one championship point tonight to Eli Tomac. One. We lost 1 point. That's it. So to have a shit day where we didn't ride very well and had a bunch of shit motos, like to lose 1 point, I feel like for him that's best case scenario. If that's a bad weekend for Chase, moving forward, we could be in a good spot. The thing is now it's like there's so many guys that we have to kind of stay in front of, and we like the end of the day, the goal is to beat the guy with the red plate, I think. Because if you're gaining points on him, then like you're not moving backwards, right? In my head. So as long as he can continue to do that and put himself in good situations and not, mentally be wavered during the race day, I think he'll be okay. But then to move to Tomac, other than his crash, I think he was the best rider on Saturday. I think he is dangerous as hell. I really do. And I mean, I'm glad that he's okay on that crash, because that was definitely a bummer. But this definitely does shake some things up, being how Hunter gained some points and stuff like that. So, I mean, we could easily see Hunter in the red plate next weekend. I fully believe that, to be honest with you. So, and I think that's a big scary thing for Tomac, Chase, Coop, and Ken Roxon is if Hunter Lawrence sniffs it. Like if Hunter Lawrence goes out and wins in Glendale, he takes the red plate and he takes all the momentum from everybody else, and just it carries it into going east. So I'm very, very curious how these next few races play out for everybody, because I think these next few races are going to be very championship oriented on everybody's front, on how their the next 10 rounds go, right? So I'm interested to see. And yeah, the racing was good, and I think the championship moving forward is in a great spot for the whole sport, for everybody moving forward. I think everybody thinks in their head they have a chance to win.
It's definitely a dream scenario when you have 5 guys you look at every weekend and you're like, well, they could win. Now you have Eli, Hunter, Chase, Cooper Webb, Ken Rocks, and you're like, oh yeah, that guy could win. What a weekend of racing. As we mentioned, Tomac still with the red plate, but only 4 up right now. It's anybody's game in Glendale, and of course we'll get to our predictions later, which could be all over the place. 250 class, as I mentioned at the top of the show, pretty uneventful for the most part, at least results wise. First moto, Hayden Deegan got out front. Hayden Deegan won. No surprise. Second moto, Pro Circuit Kawasaki boys started 1-2. Deegan moved his way around McAdoo and then ran down, caught Levi Kitchen, and he borrowed Cooper Webb celebration, the old finger guns, bang bang, Danger Boy gang in the lead. And then the second moto, or the final moto, Maximus Voland got out front, led a few laps. Shout out to the Club MX Yamaha rider. He's inching closer to the podium, fifth last week, fourth at Houston. Maybe Glendale's the podium for Maximus Voland, but he led some laps. Deegan got around him. 1-1-1 for Hayden Deegan. Perfect night. Very rare to see perfect nights in these Triple Crowns, but Hayden Deegan accomplished that feat. And now it seems like he's a mile ahead of the pack. It seemed like that after Anaheim 2 when he had a 9-point lead. Now the points lead has ballooned even farther. I think it's 19 over Max Anstey now. So he just continues to stack and pile on these points, and it's practically over. He's just got to mail it in, be smart. Another win for Hayden Deegan. A much-needed podium for Levi Kitchen. Somebody who absolutely needed some good fortune to go their way. 2-3-2, I believe it was, for Levi this weekend. 2-2-3, excuse me. Looking at the results sheet, the Levi finally made it through the first corner without tipping over or without having some kind of an issue. Cameron McAdoo, another podium. He's gone 2-3-4 quietly in these last couple rounds, or 2-4-3, I should say. But McAdoo with another podium. Max Anstey back in sixth. He had a crash during the first moto, went down in one of the corners. Michael Mosman, not a great night after entering in second in the points. But it was the Hayden Deegan show in Houston. Not a ton to say about that. You were there, so maybe you got to see some awesome battles that weren't really discovered on the TV. But another night, another dominant performance from Deegan, and he's really got control of this thing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hayden Deegan is pretty untouchable right now. I mean, I think we all kind of aren't surprised that this is happening. I mean, I think we all wish that it wasn't this way. But at the end of the day, it's like it should be happening. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. I don't think anybody's really shocked that Hayden is being as dominant as he is and being able to come through the field and just absolutely eat guys up with like they're not even there. This is another thing though too. Like I think this field is much weaker now that Hymas is out. Like it's very weak at the top. Like the middle of the pack guys, like your 7 to 15 is very weak. I think it compares to like the 13 to 22 range in the East Coast class. To be honest with you, like that's where I kind of think it compares to, or like the 13 to 17, 18 range is like where I think that 7 to 15 range sits in the East Coast and the West Coast. But nonetheless, you have Deegan, who's completely dominating the field, and then you have Kitchen, McAdoo. I mean, Ryder D's been up there, but I think Kitchen and McAdoo are the only two guys. Maybe Anstey if he's on his day. I mean, Mosman too, I guess, could, but he seemed to have a rough day, and the wheels fell off for him. Wasn't in any battles, wasn't even nowhere near the front. I think he had a crash in 2 of the motos. It was rough for him, which you hate to see, but yeah, I mean, Deegan's got his hand on this title, which I'm glad he does because I really do want to see him race the 450. I think if he's 25, 30 points up after Seattle, I think it is their last round before it goes east, I think we could see him on the Daytona's earliest, or the 450's earliest Daytona, which would be cool to see. I think that's what everybody wants to see is him on the 450, and that's how I'm gonna say something I want to see too because I have a lot of respect for how Deegan who he is as a racer. I just don't love the things he says. Like I think he's like really cocky, and I think it's like sometimes it's over the top. And I get it; it's for clicks and views, but I just think it's like, all right, dude. Like at some point, it's like we're acting like a kid, and like we're about to move up to the big bike class, where we have to act like an adult, and like it's time to do that. And like I understand why he does it. People watch for it and they talk about it like we are now. But it's like, all right, man. Like you do realize it's not gonna be this easy. All of these guys in the 40 class have won 2 of the championships in dominating fashion. Like most of them have. And it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a tough as shit for you whenever you get in the class. So nonetheless, I think Levi getting on the podium, great for Levi. I think that he's I talked to him a little bit and he was like, yeah, man, I feel good. I just get bad luck. And I think it's kind of true. I think his luck has been so bad. He literally just can't get out of the first corner on his bike. Like that's been the issue all year. I think he's gone down every single main event of the minus the 3 in Houston. So, like, I literally told him, I said, well, we got 3 chances this weekend to keep it up, right? He's like, yeah, you're damn right we do. I'm like, yeah, dude. So just good luck and whatever. He laughed at that. So I don't think he's in like any sort of like mood where it's like he's disappointed in anything or like he's upset. So I think he knows like after you give up a race in the 250 class, it's kind of over for you. Like unless you get lucky and somebody else goes down or whatever it is. So it's tough. I'm very glad that he got on the podium. I'm glad that McAdoo's riding well. I think it's a good thing for him. But I will say this much. I will say McAdoo in that I think it was the race, I believe it was the third race, was like a total roadblock for Levi. Like total roadblock. Like McAdoo, I respect the guy, the him as a racer, but I really don't like the way he rides. Like I think he's a good person and all that stuff, but I just don't like the way he rides. I think he's very like across the track, like cross jumps a lot. Like I don't know if you watch any of the races, but like Jorge Prado's really bad about this too. I noticed that this week and being able to watch. But he just like is in your way and like when you get to like the 450 class, like you kind of see these guys mature enough to realize like, look, if this guy's been behind me for 2 laps and he's hounding me and he can't get by, like they kind of like move out of the way, but they like make it a little bit easier for the guy to get by him. Like they're not full on like roadblock and like McAdoo was to Levi. And I think that's to me it's like if you know the guy behind you has a chance to win and like you're in second and you're holding him up from catching the leader, like it's kind of like a reverse like I don't know, like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like I get you want to hold on a second, but it's like you're in second, you're only moving a third. It's not like it's a huge difference. I don't know. And the second to them it's their teammate. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me at least. Like I see giving up a little bit of like giving a fight a little bit, but like as soon as it's like, he's still not going anywhere, and you're not able to break him, like it's over, man. Like just you don't have to move out of the way, but just make it a little bit easier for the guy to get by it, so he can potentially give us a fight for the win. So in that last race, I want to say is when Deegan and Kitchen kind of made like an aggressive move at Deegan, and then Deegan proceeded to do it back, correct?
Yep, that was the last one.
As that third race. Like I think Levi just needs to like not play the game. Like it's like, look, if you're gonna play the game, like clean him out. Don't like if you're gonna touch him, like clean him. Like don't play the cat and mouse crap with Deegan. I think he like eats it up and like he, in my opinion, will win that battle 9 times out of 10, unfortunately. And like as you saw, like it screwed up his race completely in the third one. So I think if Levi can stay out of the drama and stay out of the hecticness, I think he could steal a win or two from Deegan. I don't know how many more, but I think for sure he could steal a couple. But we'll see. I mean, you never know in Supercross here. Like something gnarly could happen to Deegan. He could have a crazy crash, whatever, and it'd be the wheels fall off. Who knows? But I mean, I don't see that happening. But it could. It could. But it was a pretty boring weekend in the 250 class, minus some of the gnarly crashes and stuff like that. The LCQ was honestly the most entertaining race in the 250 class this weekend. It was pretty crazy, like the battle I was watching for fourth. It was pretty funny.
Matty Jorgensen was out for blood in that LCQ this weekend. He was
No,
he was going
no,
for heads.
no shit. That guy was like driving like a demon with his head cut off. Like, oh my gosh, he was just, you're getting the punt. You're getting the punt. Like he just did not care. It was funny as hell.
It's
And
four
they
out of
took
four
five.
races he's been in the LCQ, and I remember at A1 watching him just blow by Jack Chambers like he was standing still. Then A2, he has the last corner pass on Masiangelo, and then he decides to go freezy mode at Houston.
Yeah, no, it was super entertaining to watch that. That was for sure. And I will say, like they did take five out of that race, and I think they all knew that
They did.
because Dylan Schwartz had got injured out of qualifying. So
Yes, they did take five, and for all my stats
even
people out there, if you listen to my Unsung Heroes series, you will hear this as well. But strange that 2 years in a row, last year at the first Triple Crown, Drew Adams gets hurt. They take five out of the LCQ. Fifth place guy that goes to the main event, Marshall Welton for Rock River Yamaha. This year, Dylan Schwartz gets hurt. They take five out of the LCQ at first Triple Crown round. Who goes through? A Gizmo Racing Yamaha guy. Same team, obviously a little bit of different structure. But shout out to Keegan Rowley, his first career main event. Real quick, SMX Next. It was the Caden Dudney show. Caden Minear, unfortunately, goes down, big crash in the whoops, sits out the night show. Cade Johnson wasn't in the night show, not sure what happened there. Landon Gibson, something happened to him as well, but it was the Cade and Dudney show. He was fastest in qualifying, wins the race, had a moment where it was looking like the field was starting to catch up to him after he got out front, but he reeled it back in, kept things poised, and he won his first career SMX Next Supercross race. Shout out to Deegan Dino, big improvement. Second place for the Triumph rider, of course, Triumph's first amateur signing. Great to see that team have a little bit of luck after Austin Forkner's terrible, no good, very bad start to the season. And then once again, Landon Gordon for the second week in a row. Third place, a guy who is not usually the fastest guy, but he's consistent. He won a couple races last year, 2/3 to start the season. It was a weird race because we had so many guys that we thought could contend. Of course, Menier won at Anaheim. Cade Johnson had a lot of speed, unfortunately went down in Anaheim. So a lot of top names, kind of like the 250 class where Hymas went down. You had two of the big names go down early, so it was really a battle for the podium. Vincent Way was up there again, but unfortunately he had a wild ride and a crash in the whoops. Your thoughts on the SMX Next race and surprise, surprise, Star Yamaha domination again?
Yeah, no, it was good. The whole SMX Next like critic that I have critique, I guess you could say the word is I should be using, that everybody talked about last weekend, that everybody is probably still talking about, and this weekend we saw three contenders, I guess you could say, or maybe it was two guys, or yeah, three. You're right, with Cade Johnson as well. Three contenders of the series not be able to race because of that last qualifying session where you saw. I'm pretty sure Menier went down in that last one, right? Like it wasn't on Race Day Live.
No, no, no. It was on the last session as well. All three of those guys, I think. I mean, I don't remember seeing Johnson at all personally in Race Day Live, but yes, I know because I didn't see the Menier crash until it was either on social media or during the night show. I didn't even know he wasn't racing until they said, "Oh, hey, Caden Menier's not racing because he crashed."
Yeah, yeah. So like I actually spoke to Landon Gibson, who didn't end up racing, but I did see his crash as well. It was like it was the craziest shit ever. Like it was that 3-3 and then the 3 into the corner after the start straight. Like after you go 180, you hit the whoops 180, 3-2, start, double, 3-3, and then 3 out into that corner where Anderson pushed Kenny high. That 3, it's like super fast and like it shoots you forward a lot. And Landon is like, there's a down right on the inside of the corner, and then this flagger puts a tough block down and it snags like on the jump, and it snags Landon's like foot peg or something, or he landed on it or whatever it was, and then he just crashes and wadded up. And I guess they thought the injury was, or I don't know if he's injured or not, but they just said like, I mean, he looked fine at the airport, there's nothing to look wrong, but he said like they just wanted to be safe and take the night off. And then you have the Menier crash, which, I mean, they're in the whoops, and this is the last session of the day after all three qualifiers from every single class have gone out. I mean, you have 250 futures, 250B, 250A, 450A, 450B, 450C, and then you're throwing these guys out there again.
Plus the LCQs. Don't forget that.
Yeah, the LCQs were before them too. So I'm like, I mean, how many and they didn't touch the track at all. Like they didn't touch anything before those kids went out. And I'm like, and these kids are trying, and this is a qualifying session. Their first session doesn't even count for times, but their second one, their second and their third one do. So they're on like the old schedule where they have free practice still. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we sending these kids out there when the track is absolutely beat the crap? These kids are trying to go faster than they already did. It's like, it's not going to happen. Like, if I'm a team owner and I'm a team guy, I'm like, hey, look, man, you can go out there, but don't try to do anything crazy, man. Just, like, go down there, get a couple lines down, see how the track is developing, and, then bring it in. Like, you don't need to waste your time doing all that. Like, these kids are on a big track. It's harder than hell. And, like, you see the repercussions of it all happening right in front of your face. These kids are sending it. And this is where, like, the older guys, like, they have a little bit more of a brain in a sense of, like, development. And, like, they just don't, these kids are trying to prove it. And, like, obviously every single one of these kids is going to go for it. Like, everybody's watching. Like, we're at the biggest stage of, their careers. of making it or breaking it, and these kids are going for it, and they're getting themselves hurt because they're on a crappy track, and it's like, why do we put them in that situation to like set them up for failure almost? It's like that doesn't make any sense. So I really do now, after watching it live and in person and seeing all these guys crash, it's like I really do understand like these people's frustrations with why are they going out there. Like I even told Lennon, like I was like, if I was you, I wouldn't have gone out there. I would have not even tried. But he's like, he got put in a situation off after another down rider and a tough block on a face of on a landing of a jump. It's like, what are you gonna do? And then the whole Manier thing, and then Kate Johnson, I never saw him crash, but according to somebody, I think it was his filmer or somebody I think that I talked to on the plane home, he was saying that he like hurt his wrist in qualifying or something. Like I think he went down or something like that, and he went out and did the sight lap and then didn't line up because he said his wrist wasn't holding up the way he wanted it to. So I think he pulled off after that. So hopefully he heals up and is fine. Same with Landon and same with Manier. Like I don't think their injuries are that severe, but at the end of the day, it's like these kids are still crashing, and it's not good. And I mean, we want to see these kids race. They get one race a night, and they're pushing themselves to the limit in these qualifying practices that really don't even matter. And it's on the crappiest track you'll see all day. So I don't know that I will say, but then for the racing part, it was pretty. I mean, Dudney is really good. Like I think Dudney, we could see him race professionally this year on the East Coast. Now that Manier's crashed, or Manier seems to have gotten hurt, maybe. And I'd like to see because I think he do well. I mean, we saw in outdoors how well he did on in his 2 rounds he did. I think he did Unadilla and Budds Creek, I believe, right? Or was it Unadilla?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And he rode really, really well. He earned a national number 82, which in 2 races, which is pretty hard to do. And yeah, no, he looked very promising. And like I think that was a big question for him moving from Team Green to start Yamaha was how would he adapt to Supercross because he didn't really have that down pat yet. And it seems like now he does, and he looks really, really good. And I think he has a good style for Supercross, and I think he'll be successful if Bobby Reagan gives him the chance to go race in the East Coast. I know he's young, so I think he's only like 16, but I'd be interested to see if they let him race. But yeah, no. Other than that, the SMX Next. I mean, you even with the whole Vincent Way situation, he was just. We see it all the time with Vincent. It seems like he just is in that position where he's faster than the guy in front of him, and he's just pushed himself a little bit over the edge, and he crashes. I hope he's okay, but props to Deegan for holding on because he had some sketchy moments in that race. I'll tell you what, he was going for it, but he held on for second, or was it third? Second or third?
P2 for Dino. He stayed
So,
ahead
yeah,
of Gordon.
and third was who again?
Landon
Gordon, right?
Gordon.
So props to those guys for sticking to the main event. I think if Landon Gordon can get a better start, I think that's going to be his key going into these next couple of SMX Next races. To really prove yourself, I think to Bobby, you have to beat the guys that are on your team at least, at the very least, and obviously win these races because he won a bunch of races last year. So I'm interested to see if he can, rebound at these next couple SMX Next races and see how he does. Because I think he's coming to an end in his amateur career at least, from what I've heard. So yeah, no, it was a good race. It was interesting to say the least, and I hope that these guys can, the Feld people can kind of reevaluate things, and hopefully they can make some changes going into the future with the SMX Next when they do their races or when they do their qualifying and stuff like that. Because I do think it needs a bit of a change just to give these guys to set these guys up for success. But that's all I got to say. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about the whole SMX Next races?
I mean, the race from the broadcast perspective was mostly uneventful. I mean, you had Dudney get out front, and you figured, well, once this guy gets out there, it's going to be over. As I mentioned, he seemed like during the middle part of the moto, maybe tightened up a little bit, and Dino and Way and some of those guys started pushing up to him, but then settled back in, got in control of it. But definitely interesting from your point of view watching and seeing all of these crashes because, as you said, the second session wasn't televised, and it's after all of these other sessions. Everybody qualified, LCQs even. Very strange decision making in that regard. But in terms of the racing, not bad, but definitely lacking in terms of higher end talent, in my opinion, which ruined the race quality a little bit. But nonetheless, shout out to Caden Dudney. Well deserved win. Before we move into the predictions, I will shout out, of course, Jack, a part of the Dirt Bike Depot team. Gage Linville sweeping both pro class championships of the Partzilla Arena Cross Series, Pro Open champion, 250 Pro champion. Gage wasn't even at the first weekend in Clarksville, Tennessee, but all of a sudden he starts showing up to these races and just winning like crazy. 7 wins in 12 tries in the Open Pro class. I believe 10 out of 12 wins in the 250 class. Jace Kessler was on the podium a lot as well for your team. Got to give some confidence out there for not only your riders, but for the team. You guys now own a red plate, a number one plate. So congratulations to you all. I know you guys were out in Houston for Supercross, but that has to be a big morale boost for the Dirt Bike Depot crew, seeing your guy Gage Linville, who's really grown the team and helped them blossom, been your flagship guy from top 15 to main event starts to the podium last year at Foxborough. Now he is an arena cross champion.
Yeah, no, it was cool to see, and I mean Gage and his dad were doing all these races, with them, and we obviously support some stuff, but we weren't going to these races and supporting these guys, so they were pretty much full privateers at these races, barring some like the necessities to go race. But yeah, no, Gage. It was good to see Gage. I mean, there were some good guys at some of these races. Some guys that showed up for a couple of these races, like Josh Hill, the Jeremy Hands, and he was still able to beat those guys. So I think, you know, once the field kind of lightened up a little bit, towards the end, it was made it a little bit easier, and you saw like a little bit more of a 2 or 3 way fight for wins. But nonetheless, it was entertaining to be able to see Gage, be super successful and dominant, winning races and making money because I'll tell you what, that Partzilla series pays pretty darn well. I mean, they had 2 nights of racing. Gage was saying he makes close to $4,500 if he can sweep the classes. So that's much better than Supercross, a weekend at Supercross. If you get, I believe it's better than what he made for when he podiumed from the series. So it's pretty crazy what he's able to do, and I'm super stoked on how everything went for him. I'm hoping he can carry some of this momentum into the series. I think gate drops is something that a lot of guys don't get enough of. I mean, you only get 10 races in Supercross, and like now we're moving, and then you get obviously a bunch of races in outdoors. But if you're a 250 rider, you're really only getting 23 gate drops in a total of 52 weeks out of the year. Per weekend if you only race Supercross, SMX, Supercross outdoors and SMX. So for him to get 12 other races under his belt, it's great, and it's really good, to get you race ready and get that intensity up and be able to, race at a high level with other riders who are, I believe, main event caliber riders of Luke Neese, and hopefully Jace can prove himself this year in Supercross and be a main event caliber guy. But yeah, no, it's good to see that our guy is, dominating at these races. I mean, it wasn't obviously doesn't have anywhere near the talent as the Supercross guys do, Supercross racers do, but nonetheless, there's some good guys that showed up. And for Jace too, I mean, for him, he was consistently inside that top 5, and then when the field kind of lightened up a little bit, he was definitely a consistent podium guy, which is good to see, and he's making some money as well. So, it's always a good thing to see that. And I definitely going into Supercross, I think he can carry this momentum and take maybe a week off and then get back into the swing of things, racing. And yeah, I'm excited to see how we go at Arlington. Those 3 weeks now when we go racing, so I'm excited, man. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking to see how they stack up. Being able to have those races under their belt and move into Supercross.
Now into our podium predictions. Random spot for this week is 14th. Last week in our podium predictions, after Jack's incredible run on Anaheim 2, I was able to tie things up. I didn't have the 3 riders in the exact spot like Jack did at A2, but I did nail a few things. I had Deegan Kitchen 1-2 in the 250 class. Got that. Plus, I had Ken Roxon P3 overall in the 450 class. Gained a couple points also. Of course, I had Cooper Webb in my podium, so 5 points there. But as I mentioned, random spot, 14th place this week. I'm going to go ahead and start with the 450 class. You could pick so many different guys for these spots. So many people in the battle for the championship. For the win at Glendale, I picked against him one too many times. Cooper Webb wins at Glendale. Will he get it done? I don't know, but as Jack mentioned earlier in the show, he's coming up on a really good stretch of races for him. He's had some success at Glendale in the past. He's won Seattle the last 2 years. He's won Arlington in the last 2 years and has plenty of other wins in AT&T Stadium. It is entering Cooper Webb territory, and I think he's going to get the job done again at Glendale because that's another guy. If you give him an ounce of confidence, he's going to take more than that. So I got the number one finishing P1 once again. I have Eli Tomac for second, another guy who's won races in that building before. I think Eli has a good weekend, but just doesn't quite get that victory. And then I'm going to pick Hunter Lawrence for third. I feel silly for leaving Chase Sexton off the podium, but at the same time, can I really bet against Webb and Tomac and Hunter Lawrence the way Hunter's been racing? I've picked against Hunter a lot. I'm going to pick him for third this weekend. Man, it could go any way. There's so many guys up there. Even some of these other guys who aren't on the podium every week, like Jason Anderson, he's got the potential to go up there and get a podium. We saw what Jorge Prado can do at Anaheim 1. He ran up front in some of these Triple Crowns, but did get shuffled back. That's my podium, though. I have Cooper Webb winning at Glendale ahead of Eli Tomac and Hunter Lawrence. My 14th place pick for my random spot. I am going to go with Garrett Marchbanks on the Monster Energy Kawasaki. Not been a great start to the year for Garrett. Those are my picks for the 450 class. I'll actually go ahead and do my 250 ones as well because I have Hayden Deegan winning and Levi Kitchen second again. And I think I'm going to pick Max Anstey for third this week. I think Max is finally going to get back on the podium. Not quite at his Anaheim 1 level of speed, but Deegan and Kitchen I feel like are pretty safe 1-2 picks. And then I'm going Anstey for third. 14th in the 250 class is a little bit harder, but I think this week, provided he is all ready and good to go, and I think he will be, I know he's going to at least give it a shot this weekend in Glendale, I'm going to go Robbie Wageman for P14 aboard the Heartbeat Hot Sauce Nano Extreme Yamaha, powered by Ty Lube, Team Solitaire machine. I got Wageman rebounding for a top 15 finish after crashing out of the action at Houston.
Those are solid picks. It's hard to pick against Deegan and a guy like Cooper Webb who's coming off of a win. I'm going to go Hunter Lawrence for first. I think Hunter gets his first win in the 450 class. I think it's time. I think he needs to, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this weekend. And if it doesn't, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, to be honest with you. So I think I got Hunter Lawrence in first. I got Chase Sexton in second. I think he rebounds and gets a solid position, solid place, solid finish this weekend in Glendale. I do have Cooper Webb on my podium. I have him third. I left Eli Tomac off the podium after his successful ride. I do not think it's going to be as easy for him, though, being that I think Hunter Lawrence and Chase Sexton will both get off the good starts, but I do think Hunter's going to get the best of Chase this weekend. But I do think Cooper Webb will be in that fight as well. But I have Eli Tomac right off my podium in fourth, just to let you know. I think I really do think that it is Webb's time to shine. I don't think he's going to win this weekend, but I think he's going to carry the momentum with the podium. I think we'll see him on the top step of the podium again in the coming future. My wild card 14th place finish. Funny enough, I open up Rocky Mountain ATV, the Fantasy SX, every time you do this, so I put my picks in while I'm saying it. The wild card for RM Fantasy this weekend is also 14th. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not. I just opened RM Fantasy as he was talking about that. I haven't made my picks yet.
Yeah. So I picked Shane McElrath. I think he's had a tough couple weekends, but I think this weekend he cracks top 15, gets 14th. I think that's solid enough for him. I think he'll be okay right up there. My 250 class predictions, I'm going to go Hayden Deegan winning. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to choose a pick against him. I don't think Levi gets the win until Seattle. I think him being a hometown guy there, I think it might be a little bit easier for him to get a win there. But I do have Levi Kitchen in second, and then I have Cameron McAdoo in third. I think it'll be the same podium as last weekend. I think McAdoo's just off the pace, but I think he's been consistent enough to where he can podium and he's getting good starts. So I think he'll be solid up there. I actually do see Levi leading some laps this weekend in Glendale, but I don't think he can hold off Deegan. And then my 14th place pick, I'm going to go with a friend of the show, a friend of mine. Got to see him this past weekend in Houston, Crockett Myers for 14th. I think he'd be stoked with that, and I think I'd be stoked with that too if he could knock in my wild card pick. So yeah, that's my predictions for Glendale. I think they're solid. Trey, your picks were good too. I think Garrett Marchbanks for 14th is a great pick, great pull right there. I didn't even think about Garrett, but yeah, that's my pick.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We could be on the money, we could be dead wrong. And we've been dead wrong a lot this year. There's so many guys up there, especially 450 class wise. You could throw darts at the wall and just pick names out of a hat, it seems like. And whatever order, especially with the top five, just draw those names out and see, oh, here's the three names I picked. What order do I put them in? But thank you for listening to episode number 27 of the Stire Sound, wrapping up the Houston Supercross, hoping for more excellent 450 class racing action. I would say hopefully there will be some entertaining and exciting racing in the 250 class, but I'm just not sold on that right now. But for Jack Noel, I am Trey Stire. Thank you for listening, and the Stire Sound is fading out.